Hello, welcome to another episode of In the Trenches with Gang Green. I'm your host, Bubbs. Today is Saturday, October 26th. Hopefully, everybody's having a good day so far today. We are just a little over 24 hours away from the New York Jets taking on the New England Patriots in Foxborough, week number 8 matchup. It's the two bottom feeders currently in the AFC East, the fourth place Patriots and the third place New York Jets. Two teams looking to end long losing streaks. The Jets losers of 4 straight games, and the Patriots, after winning week 1 against the Bengals, have lost 6 in a row and have yet to win a game at home inside Gillette Stadium this season. We will see what changes tomorrow afternoon. This is episode 412 of the In the Trenches with Gang Green podcast. I thank you, as always, for joining me. It's another game preview. It's another week. It's another week if you're a Jets fan as you prepare to get hurt again. Even with this team being a heavy favorite in this game, even with the Jets clearly being the more talented team, as bad as it's been, they are significantly more talented than New England. As bad as it's been, all of that considering, going into this game, you are ready to get hurt again if you're a New York Jets fan, because that is what this team has done to us for years, and especially this season, standing at 2-5 so far. So we will give you the roadmap to victory. What will it take for the New York Jets to win their first game in over a month, their first game of October, and pick up their second win against the Patriots and complete the sweep of New England here in the 2024 season tomorrow afternoon out at Gillette Stadium. Before we do that, before we get into all the news and notes getting into this game, though, we got to tell you about our podcast partners, starting with our friends over at BetUS, America's favorite online sports book. October is the best month of the year for sports, and it's coming to a close. You've got World Series in full swing. You want to get on the World Series betting action. You want to get on NFL. You want to get in on college football, NBA, NHL. Both seasons have started. Any bet you want to make, do it over at BetUS, America's favorite online sportsbook. Plus, my viewers, click the link in the description of this video to get a 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. Let's take a look at Jets-Patriots odds for tomorrow's matchup. Jets come into this game as a 7-point road favorite, which means the Patriots are the large home underdogs at +7. Spread, or the money line rather, Jets -330, Patriots +270. Over under for this game, according to BetUS, total is at 42 for a Sunday afternoon showdown. Also, our friends over at Huga House. You see me wearing my Huga House hat right now. You want this hat, the Aaron Rodgers special 20th season hat that comes in green, or the black one of this hat? Check them out, link in the description. Or if you want any of the other awesome hats that Rodgers and so many athletes wear all the time, check out Huga House. Plus, my viewers, use promo code BUBS for 15% off any purchase. And also SeatGeek. Looking to go to the game tomorrow? Looking to go to a World Series game? Tickets are crazy. But looking to get out to any event? Check out SeatGeek. If you haven't used SeatGeek before and you're purchasing tickets, use promo code BUBSONSPORTS for $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. As always, this isn't just sports. You guys know the deal. If you want to buy a ticket for an event, play, concert, show, you name it, SeatGeek has it. Bubs on Sports, $20 off at checkout. Check them out and get yourself out to some awesome events with our friends over at SeatGeek. All right, now let's get into today's podcast, episode 412, week number 8, game preview number 8, New York Jets, New England Patriots. And as I mentioned there in the open, this is one of these games as a Jet fan, right? You know, you come into this game 2-5. The Jets are 1-3 on the road this season. Patriots come into this game 1-6, losers of 6 straight. As I mentioned, have yet to win a game inside Gillette Stadium, 0-3 at home. When you take a look at ESPN analytics matchup predictor for this game, they're giving the Jets a heavy favorite chance, 70.8% chance of the Jets winning, while they are only giving New England a 29% chance of victory. But that's just kind of how it is. Like the New York Jets for years now, and this is where I'll kind of open. Of course, you know, we'll get to just some opening thoughts here, then we'll get to keys and injury report and all that good stuff. This is like typical Jets. The New York Jets beat the New England Patriots in week 3. You're walking out of that stadium, winners of 2 in a row. You're walking out of that stadium 2-1. I was in the building that night. I was fired up. It was amazing. Watching Aaron Rodgers inside MetLife Stadium under the primetime lights for 60 minutes of awesome football was amazing after we saw him for 4 snaps in the opener against Buffalo last year. It was amazing. And since that point, you've lost 4 straight. You've fired your head coach. You've changed offensive play callers. You've traded for Davante Adams. So much has happened. But the point I'm trying to make here is only the Jets, after all of these years of getting demolished by the Patriots, getting crushed by New England, getting embarrassed. Let's not even talk about losing to New England, just specifically getting crushed by New England, always on the road as well. Not even just in our own building. Always, how many times have we gone up to Foxborough and gotten our doors blown off? I mean, how many times did that happen? And this is so typical Jets, where you have a chance now this season to sweep the Patriots. You go into New England as a 7-point favorite, which here's a nugget on that. The New York Jets, the last time they were a 7-point favorite against the Patriots. So the last time the Patriots were a 7-point home underdog to the Jets, you'd have to go all the way back to 1972. Even with all that being said, we can't even be that excited going into this game as Jets fans because of what we've seen from this team in the last 4 weeks. And that's just what this team did. For when the minute we got Rodgers, we kept talking about, oh, we beat New England, win the division, do all this great stuff. And here we are. We've won 2 straight against New England. We have a chance to sweep New England in a season for the first time since 2000. And as a Jet fan, you're like, this team's got so many problems. Even if they lose this, even if they win this game and demolish New England, you're still going to be skeptical about the rest of the way because it is the Patriots. They aren't a very good team. The Jets should win this game. They should win this game by a lot. And you're still 3-5 with a long way to go. I've said it many times. Talk to me when the Jets are back to 500. You get back to 500, then we can talk. Until then, it's still going to be proven mode. Until then, I couldn't care less Hassan Reddick's coming back. Until then, Davante Adams' speech after the Pittsburgh Steelers game, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, that's going to spark the team. No, you have to prove it. But that's the point. That's what the Jets do to their fans. All these years of getting demolished by New England, we have a chance to go into New England, stomp on them in their own building, and you can't even get real pumped up for the game because you haven't won a game in over a month. You haven't won a game in October. The last win was against the Patriots. And the team right now standing at 2-5 in an all-in year is in a complete disaster with an owner that's panicking and issues all over the locker room. I mean, that's just where it is. So there's my opening thoughts. And for the Patriots, it hasn't gone any better. Both these teams, really, there's been a lot of noise, right? From a New England perspective, and that's kind of just interesting right out of the top, how both these teams will come out in this game. From a New England perspective, there's been a lot of heat this week on Gerard Mayo. Rightfully so. He's had a lot of questionable comments that he has made this year where he's walked back comments. Players have said things on social media, said things behind closed doors, players, agents, all this stuff. It's been an ugly first season for Mayo to the point where you start to wonder if he will even last the year, if he will even last beyond 2024 going into 2025. So it's been ugly. Calling the team soft after Jacksonville in London has created quite the firestorm. So just for both these teams, another loss for the Jets. So another week of the media crushing the Jets and a week of a media firestorm around Boston and up in New England. It'll be interesting to see how both these teams try and block out the noise and just go out there and at the end of the day, play football because it's been a bumpy ride for both these teams. And that's why you look at this game that features 2 teams that are a combined 3-11 this year, which is ugly to say the least. Now, to get you injury reports for this game, it's a pretty loaded injury report for both teams. This kind of feels like a week 8, nearing November, grind of the season, guys beat up type of injury report, because that's exactly what we've got. When you look at the New York Jets side of things, a couple key pieces will be out in this game. Ashton Davis dealing with a concussion will be out. Lecky Fotu dealing with a knee injury will be out. And Elijah Vera Tucker, who's obviously missed big parts of the last 2 seasons with 2 big injuries in Denver in 2022 and 2023. He'll be out in this game with an ankle. He left last week with an ankle injury. Xavier Newman had the really scary injury Good thing he's okay. Glad to see that he was able to come back home with the Jets, but he will be out this week. So that means no AVT, no Xavier Newman. Jake Hansen will take over at starting right guard, which is definitely a concern there for the Jets, considering what AVT brings to the table down to their third string guard there. As for Ashton Davis with the concussion, that'll leave it up to Jalen Mills to take over and Isaiah Oliver, because Tony Adams, you get to the guys that are doubtful. Tony Adams is doubtful in this game with a hamstring. So a pretty good chance that the New York Jets find themselves on Sunday, tomorrow afternoon, find themselves starting Isaiah Oliver and Jalen Mills at your two safeties. Jalen Mills, I thought, did some good things last week. We'll see what Isaiah Oliver can do. Kind of made the transition to corner, now going back to safety, so provides a little bit of that versatility there, but those most likely will be your two starting safeties. Allen Lazard, dealing with a chest injury, is also doubtful for this game. So that'll lead you to believe that Mike Williams will play and be a bigger role and be the third receiver in this game. And this is why I would not get rid of Mike Williams, because you're one Lazard injury away, you're one injury away from these key guys, where then you have to suit up Xavier Gipson in a much larger role than he should be. And that's why I would stick with Mike Williams. He can step in here as your third receiver alongside Devontae and, of course, Garrett. And in your questionable guys, Morgan Moses dealing with a knee, Kenny Yeboah dealing with abdomen. Moses expected to play tomorrow afternoon. As for the Patriots, couple key pieces. Jalen Polk out in this one with a concussion, won't clear protocol in time. Layden Robinson dealing with an ankle. He'll be out as well. And they've got a ton of guys that are questionable. Vidarian Lowe dealing with an ankle. He's questionable. Keon White dealing with an ankle. Jonathan Jones dealing with a shoulder and some personal reasons. He's questionable. Mike Jordan, ankle. City So, illness. Sion Taki with a knee. Daniel Equale with an abdomen. And Raekwon McMillan with a back. So both injury reports loaded up. A couple key pieces from each team. Not going to be suiting up tomorrow afternoon. However, positive for the Jets, they will get DJ Reed and Michael Carter back. So that is a positive after both players missed last week. So both those guys will be back in the lineup tomorrow. And that's obviously huge. DJ Reed has been the Jets' best corner this season by a pretty wide margin, and one of the better corners in football. All right, now let's get into injury report. Opening thoughts are out of the way. Now let's get into what do the New York Jets need to do on the road here against a division rival to pick up a win and get this thing back on track and snap this 4-game losing streak. So we'll start here on the offensive side of the football. To me, the first offensive key, it's get the run game going. I know we've talked about it a lot. It feels like we've talked about it every single week. But this week in particular, just because of who the Jets are going to be facing from a run defense perspective, it is a very poor Patriots run defense. But when you look at the Jets rushing offense, it's been very, very, very poor as well. The New York Jets have gone into this season. They are currently averaging 82.4 rush yards per game, which is 31st in the NFL, only behind the Dallas Cowboys, who have the worst rushing offense in football. And entering this week, the New York Jets will face the 22nd ranked rush defense in football in the New England Patriots, who are allowing 136.1 rush yards per game this season. So something's got to give in this game. You have a really bad rushing offense and you have a really bad rushing defense. What's going to give? Are the Patriots going to step up and make plays, or are the Jets going to step up, get the run game going, scheme the run game open, and find ways to get Breece Hall and Braylon Allen to play and run like they were in the first couple games, where you started to see Braylon Allen break out a little bit? That New England game, you started to see some positives. And now during this 4-game losing streak, it's gone completely silent. When you look at Breece Hall this season, his drop-off has been really, really alarming. 95 carries on the season, 348 rushing yards, 3.7 yards per carry, and 3 touchdowns. When you look at Braylon Allen, he's done some good things in a small sample size, but overall, as a unit, they're not good enough. Braylon Allen this season, 37 carries, 155 yards, 4.2 yards per carry, and a touchdown. Combined, the New York Jets as a team this year, 149 carries, 577 yards, 3.9 yards per carry, and 4 touchdowns. All of those coming between Braylon Allen and Breece Hall. That's beyond pathetic. And like I mentioned, the 82.4 rush yards per game, 31st in football, is alarming. It's pathetic. It's embarrassing. It's inexcusable. This is a team that we went into this season talking about how they were going to still kind of go through their rushing offense, where the pass game was going to be able to open up the run, but they were still going to be able to rely on their rushing offense, still be able to rely on Breece Hall, rely on Braylon Allen, that 1-2 punch where defenses then have to focus on the run. Then they can open up things with the pass and vice versa. Kind of run to set up the pass. And that hasn't happened. The rushing offense is worse than it was last year. And they've got, even though Rodgers isn't his vintage self, he looks pretty washed. Even with that, they've got a better passing offense. So something's got to get figured out. This can't keep happening every single week. You might get by against New England. Maybe you will get by against New England if you only rush for 50 yards. But week in and week out, you can't continue to run the ball, get 2 yards, set up a 2nd and 8, pass, 3rd and 4, run it, 4th down, or a 3rd and 2 and not even able to pick up 2 yards on the ground. How many times this year have we seen Breece Hall not able to finish runs, not able to finish runs in the red zone when he gets the ball on the 1 to 2 yard line? So whether it's passing early to set up the run, look, they have a favorable matchup. Like I said, New England is not good against the run, stopping the run this season as a defense. Either way, whatever it takes, whatever it is, certainly not having AVT will hurt. But the Jets have got to find a way to get the run game going and really get the run game going early. If you can start picking up chunk plays on the ground and, Rodgers can kind of manage the game early on and you could start to pick up points and start to kind of run away with things a little bit, that'll be a huge on so many levels in terms of coming away with a victory tomorrow. So first offensive key is get the run game going because it's been pretty much non-existent all season long. And that is inexcusable for a offense that was going to go through this run game. And that clearly hasn't been the case. My second offensive key to the game, it's protecting Aaron Rodgers. We say this every week. It's a big focal point. And I will say this, it's not even so much this week that protecting Aaron Rodgers is so important because the Patriots have like a really good pass rush. No, it's not that, or that the Jets offensive line is just playing so bad. The Jets offensive line actually last week, I actually thought did a decent job containing TJ Watt. Now, Alex Highsmith had a pretty strong day against Tyron Smith. And if I was the Jets, I would certainly put strong consideration into benching Tyron Smith and putting Olu Fashanu out there at left tackle and giving him a chance because Tyron Smith has looked completely washed. But it's not even that. It's more so the fact that you look ahead here a little bit. And I know you've got to focus on New England and beat the Patriots, but as fans, we can look ahead here for a second because we're not going to be playing out there on Sunday. Looking ahead here, you have Rodgers who is dealing with a hamstring injury, an ankle injury, and a knee injury. Just work your way down the leg. He's got it. You name it, Rodgers has it right now. And the New York Jets have to turn around in 4 days after this game and welcome the Houston Texans, one of the better teams in the NFL, into their own building for that Halloween Thursday night game. So my point here is this week especially, and there could have been some consideration not playing Rodgers this week, playing Tyrod, because you probably could beat New England with Tyrod and having Rodgers rest as opposed to him getting beat up this week and then having to play 4 days later on a short week Thursday night against Houston. At least they don't have to travel, but still a short week's a short week, and it's going to be against a really good Texans team. It's not like you get a short week against a team that's winless. You get a short week against a Super Bowl contender. So this game especially, you've got to keep him upright. This cannot be a game where he's getting hit every other play, because even if you win this game, if Rodgers walks out of this game beat up, bruised, battered, that significantly decreases your chances of him feeling anywhere close to 100% on Thursday night. So to win the game, you've got to obviously keep him upright, but also just looking ahead here a little bit. You can't have Rodgers get beat up, have the ankle injury worsen or the knee injury worsen before a short week against the Texans. You've got to keep him upright. When you look at Rodgers this season, 158 of 256, that's a 61.7% completion percentage, 1,663 yards, 6.5 yards per completion, 10 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, an 82.2 rather passer rating, and a 48.9 QBR. Look, those numbers from a league perspective are about league average to slightly above league average, but from an Aaron Rodgers perspective, they're not good at all. And I'm not even talking about elite Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, even not playing at his best, should not be throwing 7 interceptions in 7 games. Not all of them his fault, but there's been some bad ones, like the one before halftime last week, which can't happen. So keeping Rodgers upright, protecting him, especially when you look ahead here to a short week. Rodgers beat up. This needs to be a game where he's got a clean pocket, he's playing well, doesn't get beat up, not on the ground a ton, but we'll see. And that's also part of it too, is why the run game's so huge, because if you can run, it limits the time Rodgers has to pass. It's less passing, it's less Rodgers taking hits. It all kind of correlates here into one big thing. So that's your second offensive key to the game. Jets, by the way, have allowed 17 sacks this season. We've talked about the offensive line getting worse as the season has gone on. Last week, they only allowed 1 sack. Like I said, I thought they actually did a pretty good job. Morgan Moses, they did a pretty good job picking up TJ Watt, both with running backs and tight ends, double teaming him. But Tyron Smith still didn't have the best day. You're now without AVT, so we'll see what they bring to the table tomorrow afternoon. Final offensive key to the game, a little bit different here. Not going to go target one guy or this and that. I'm going to say attack the middle of the field. The Patriots linebackers this season have been atrocious. They haven't been good in coverage. They haven't been good tackling. Jelani Tavai has been one of the bigger disappointments on New England this season from both a coverage and tackling perspective. There's a lot of issues, and that's been one of the biggest knocks so far in Gerard Mayo. When we talked to Pete Collins Thursday about the Patriots defense, one of the biggest issues is the linebackers. Gerard Mayo was the linebackers coach. He was a linebacker. The fact that since he's become head coach, that unit has taken a hit in a bad way is a really serious problem. And it's not only just this week about targeting. It's not just because the Patriots are poor from a linebacker across the middle coverage perspective. It's also the fact that Aaron Rodgers this year at times has been hesitant to throw across the middle, has been hesitant to get the ball to Garrett Wilson when he's across the middle, get the ball to Devontae Adams, throw tightly contested balls to his top receivers. He's been hesitant this season. A lot of the Jets this year has been sideline stuff. It's been the low-risk sideline stuff where if something doesn't go right, it's going to be out of bounds or something like that. Although, I mean, honestly, Garrett Wilson was the sideline ball, but it went off his chest. You even look, though, Rodgers has had some struggles this year throwing across the middle. But this is a week where you've got to attack the middle of the field just because of the weakness that the Patriots present. Not only, and the fact that Rodgers has got to start hitting on balls that he throws across the middle. Last week, Beanie Bishop jumped the route on Garrett that was across the middle. That can't happen. That's a ball that, from a Hall of Fame quarterback, I don't care if he's 40 coming off an Achilles tear, has to make. Especially in that point of the game before halftime, looking to put up more points, looking to bury the Pittsburgh Steelers. One thing you could not do there was turn the ball over. Rodgers turned it over. So Rodgers across the middle has been iffy this year. He's been hesitant at times. When you go back and watch the All-22, there's times where guys are open across the middle and Rodgers has kind of pumped, and it's like he's not confident in throws across the middle. And when he has thrown across the middle, there hasn't been a ton of success. So this is a week offensive key-wise where when there's guys open, you've got to attack it, and you've got to attack it while having success. And if there's a week to do it, it's this week against New England, where their linebackers are weak, their secondary hasn't been very, very strong. A team that's gotten beat a lot this season through the air this year. So that's my final offensive key there, is attacking the middle of the field and attacking it, having success. Now we move on to the Patriots or the Jets defensive side of things against the Patriots offense. Once again, Jets offensive keys: get run game going, protect Aaron Rodgers, attack the middle of the field. You move on to the Jets defensive keys. To me, the first one is kind of a two-parter, but it's getting pressure on Drake May, right? Drake May comes into this game, third start of his career. Obviously made his debut on Thursday night against the Jets in week 3. Not exactly a great time for a debut. Down 24-3 on the road against a pass rush that had 7 sacks that night, but he made his debut, but it hasn't, made his first start And really, his season has started against Houston and Jacksonville last week. And you look at Drake May this season, it's been a pretty productive 2 games, actually very, very productive. While the results haven't been there from a team perspective, Drake May's done a lot of good things. He's 46 to 70. That's a 65.7% completion percentage, 519 yards, 7.4 yards per completion, 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, a 99.6 passer rating in these 2 games. And he's the first quarterback since Dan Marino, so pretty good company, to throw 500 yards and 5 touchdowns in his first 2 starts. So really impressive stuff from Drake May. The offense from New England has looked a lot better under May than it was under Brissett, who's a guy that we all know what Jacoby Brissett is. He's a game manager, guy that's not going to take deep shots, a guy that's going to just kind of play within the offense, play a boring style of football. Drake May airing it out a little bit more, taking more chances downfield, kind of opening up the field vertically for New England a lot more. But I think it's very important for the Jets here to get pressure on May. Whenever you face a rookie quarterback, it's huge. It's huge every week, it feels like, for the Jets to get pressure on Drake May or on any quarterback, especially the way that this season has gone, where the New York Jets up front being so depleted from where they were a year ago. Thank you to Joe Douglas completely taking this defensive line and drilling it into the ground. They've had struggles getting to the quarterback consistently. And this week against a rookie quarterback, they need to get to Drake May. Most times, rookie quarterbacks, this is just common sense. When they have pressure, they make mistakes, they panic, they don't read the field correctly, and they force the ball. And that's something that the New York Jets need to find a way to do. And that's where I kind of move to the second part of this key, is forcing turnovers. Look, when you look at Drake May this season, he's had 5 touchdowns, 2 picks, the 500 yards in his 2 starts, all great stuff. But in there is 5 turnover-worthy plays. Now, only 2 of them have obviously turned into interceptions, but 5 of them turnover-worthy plays, including 3 last week against Jacksonville. So while from a base, just from the outside, Drake May's look very good, he has made some risky passes. He has made some passes that could be that are not very smart, that are risky, that are turnover-worthy. So what I need to see what the Jets need to do tomorrow, get pressure on May and force him into those turnover-worthy mistakes. Force him into forcing the ball, in tight coverage. Force him into panicking and throwing the ball across the middle, right? Force him into those poor throws. If you can get him to get to him fast, make him think faster, make him have to process faster, that's going to make his life miserable. Because what quarterbacks need, rookie quarterbacks, they need time. They need the game to slow down. If you can speed the game up for Drake May, I think that is huge for the Jets tomorrow. You get Hassan Reddick back. What the heck is he going to do? I don't even know. I really couldn't even tell you. I have 0 expectations for Hassan Reddick at this point. He's 7 weeks too late. That's why he's wearing the number 7, to honor his 7 weeks of holding out. But whatever it is, Reddick, look, if he gets a sack tomorrow, we're all going to be happy. Get pressure on Drake May, bring him down, force him into mistakes, speed things up for him, make his life miserable tomorrow. And also the Patriots, offensive line's not very good. And like I said, the Jets, when they faced New England in week 3, were facing a beat-up offensive line, and an offensive line, even with starters, that wasn't very good. They got to Jacoby Brissett and May. They had 7 sacks. This would be, if the Jets get 7 sacks tomorrow, not even just 7, you get 4 sacks tomorrow, there's a good chance they're winning this game. And there's a good chance one of those Drake May mistakes could pop up and prove to be a turning point. And that's another thing too, just with turnovers for this Jets team. You look at the Jets this season, they've got a -3 turnover differential. They've only have 2 interceptions. This is a team that does not get interceptions, and they also don't cover fumbles. This is a team that does not force turnovers. That's the one biggest issue with this defense. It's the one big complaint. They don't force turnovers. Tomorrow's a game where force turnovers. Rookie quarterback, get pressure, force him into mistakes. I'm also curious to see how the Jets tomorrow, 21st in sacks, or 21 sacks this season. That's 5th in the NFL. Will McDonald's got 8 sacks. That's tied for 2nd in the NFL, 1st in the AFC. I am interested to see if the Jets send blitzes at Drake May. That is definitely something that I am curious. The Jets recently have thrown a lot more blitzes than usual because I think they're realizing they can't get home with 4 like they used to be able to. This season, they're already up to 62 blitzes. Last year, they only had 98 blitzes. And this season, their blitz percentage is up 27.2%. Last year, it was only 16.3%. Both of those near the bottom of the league. So I think, too, for the Jets, very interested. And another factor to this key, blitzing Drake May, blitzing a young quarterback could cause him into those mistakes. So get pressure on May, force those turnovers. My second defensive key, it's containing Hunter Henry or Ramondre Stevenson. Those are the two big guys I think tomorrow you've got to look for on this Patriots offense as guys that can do some damage. And I know I bring up Stevenson and they've struggled, but the Jets' rush defense hasn't been good enough as well. Now, Hunter Henry's a guy you've got to look for tomorrow, and you've got to find a way to contain him. This season, he's had 27 receptions on 39 targets, 313 yards, 11.6 yards per reception, and 1 touchdown. However, the last 2 weeks, he's been much more involved in the game plan. And the last 2 weeks, he's gotten the ball and gotten looked at a lot more than previously. And that's been Drake May. Drake May has looked at Hunter Henry's way a lot over the last 2 games. Hunter Henry with Drake May starting the last 2 weeks has 11 catches on 14 targets for 133 yards, 12.1 yards per reception. And that 1 touchdown came against Houston. So 1 touchdown in the last 2 games, 1 touchdown total this season. Oftentimes, a best thing for a rookie quarterback is a good veteran, reliable tight end that can kind of be a safety blanket. And that's what that's been. That's what Hunter Henry has been so far for Drake May. So for the Jets defense tomorrow, all about containing the tight end on National Tight Ends Day. Slow him down. They're without Jalen Polk. The receiving core hasn't done a ton. Hunter Henry should get most of the attention. Hunter Henry's a guy you've got to watch out for, especially with DJ Reed back, Michael Carter back. Those guys are going to be perfectly fine against the Patriots wide receivers, especially without Jalen Polk, who's out in this game with a concussion. Even with Jalen Polk, he hasn't done a ton this season, has suffered a lot of drops. Hunter Henry's a guy you got to keep your eye on because really, he's the team's leading receiver, and the last 2 weeks he's been a guy that Drake May has clearly feels confident throwing him the ball. Now, Ramondre Stevenson's the other piece of this puzzle, and really the run game as a whole. It's going to be interesting to see what gives tomorrow. The Jets' rush defense this season is 16th in the NFL. The Patriots, to start the year, were one of the better rushing offenses in football, and Ramondre Stevenson looked good, and Antonio Gibson looked good. Fast forward to week number 8, and the rushing offense has kind of gone just missing. And it's weird because it's gone missing with Drake May at quarterback. With Jacoby Brissett, the rushing offense for New England was very, very good, very, very productive. But when it came to Drake May getting inserted in, it's taken a major drop-off. The last 2 weeks, the Patriots have carried the ball 41 times for 120 yards and no touchdowns. They're averaging 2.9 yards per carry over the last 2 games, which is so weird because Drake May opens up the passing element of the offense that the Patriots haven't seen, which should hypothetically keep defenses guessing more as opposed to expecting the run with Brissett, but it's been the opposite. When teams don't expect the run with the Patriots, they're not having success, but when teams were expecting to run with Brissett at quarterback, they were having success. So it's been weird. Stevenson's numbers as a whole this year still aren't that bad. 374 yards so far this season and 4.5 yards per carry. So they're still not terrible. He is a guy that has had his fair share of fumbles, fumbled in the first 4 games of the season, hasn't fumbled since. But we talk about the turnovers. That's another thing to look for tomorrow. And Antonio Gibson has kind of gone non-existent the last couple weeks, although he is still a guy this season that's averaging 4.5 yards per carry overall in the year. But last week was very poor, 4 yards on 3 carries. So a rushing offense that has been struggling the last 2 weeks and a rushing defense that has allowed 5 100-plus yard games out of the 7 games played this season. One of the games they didn't was against New England in week 3. So we'll see if the Jets can copy that again tomorrow. And my final defensive key, it's starting fast. And I know we talk about the offense a lot starting fast, but to be honest with you, with Todd Downing as a play caller, it's been the opposite. The Jets offense has started fast in some of these games, but they haven't been able to sustain it, right? Last week, you had the strong start. You put up 15 right away, and then you get the Rodgers interception, and you get shut out in the second half. From a defensive perspective, they've been awful starting games. And they have always been awful starting games, but not this bad. I mean, in past years, specifically last year, the Jets would struggle on the first drive. And then after that, they would make the adjustments. And from drive number 2 onwards, the defense would be pretty much perfect. This year, that's not the case. They are struggling the entire first half of games. When you look at the Jets defense this season, they're allowing 11.3 first half points, which is 17th most in football. Which is 17th in football. That ranks 17th. So near closer to 32, meaning closer to the most. In the last 3 weeks, this is alarming. They have allowed 16.7 points in the first half of games in the last 3 weeks. That's 27th in football. They allowed 13 first half points last week. That's 18th in football. Now, when you look at last year, they allowed 13.2 first half points last season, which was 30th. So they are a little bit better, but they're not adjusting in the second half. Last year, you saw more of those adjustments. This year, last week, it was a disaster. 31 unanswered. Second half was a mess. But a reason I bring up tomorrow as well, just as such a key piece to start fast, you can make the case as well on offense. You've got to start fast, especially tomorrow. Look, this is a Jets team that's coming into this game 2-5. You're coming into this game 2-5. You've lost 4 straight. You lose this game to New England, like it's done. It's over. You're going to then start to get a portion of the fan base that's going to start to root for tanking games. You're not going to have anybody in the building against Houston. You lose to the 1-6 Patriots, forget about it. There's going to be guys, the locker room is going to be completely lost. You're 2-6. You're going to be 2-7 after Houston. At that point, you start to look at tanking. That's how bad it is. So my point is here, defensively, you've got to start fast. The Jets can't find themselves going into the locker room down 13-6 or 10-3, because then you're going to come out, you're going to start to panic, they're going to start to press, they're going to start making mistakes. This should be a wire-to-wire victory. Go down and score on the first drive, make a rookie quarterback's life miserable, and walk out of here with a convincing win and go win on Thursday against Houston. That's what needs to happen. You can't have any of this nonsense of first drive, Drake May goes down and scores. Jets go 3 and out, look up and it's 10 or 14-0 in the second quarter, which is unfortunately what it's been. Even with the Jets early in games putting up some points, not finishing drives, but putting up points, the defense has not been good enough. And the Patriots offense with May has actually had some productive drives. They've actually gone off to some quicker start. They just haven't been able to finish games. As the game goes on, talent just kind of takes over at times, which has been one of the bigger Achilles heel for New England. They're just not talented enough. So defensive keys, get pressure on Drake May, force turnovers, contain Hunter Henry or Ramondre Stevenson, and start fast. Change what has been a very slow starting defense through 7 games this season. Move on to the X factors in this game. Look, Jets offensive X factor, this is going to be pretty plain. It's Aaron Rodgers. Like I don't really see any other X factor. We've talked about the offensive line a lot, but look, it's Rodgers, man. We could sit here and talk all we want about offensive line not playing well, Breece Hall not playing well, all that stuff. Rodgers hasn't played well. Rodgers looks old. Rodgers looks like a 40-year-old coming off a torn Achilles. He does. He's got to play a lot better. He's taking accountability for it. He's got to look himself in the mirror and say, you know what? I've got to play better, because he's not playing well at all. Turning the ball over like he did last week before the half was inexcusable. His body language on the sideline has been inexcusable. He's looked dejected. He's looked like he's had no energy. I mean, he needs to fix a lot, not just on the field, but also off. He needs to carry himself much better as a leader. So to me, Rodgers is the X factor. This has got to be against one of the league's worst defenses. This has got to be a game where Rodgers goes out there and kind of pads the stats a little bit. That's what this has got to be. As for the defensive X factor, to me, it's the Jets pass rush, and I will also say it's the run defense. I think it's a little bit of both. It's the Jets defensive line. That's what it is. It's the Jets defensive line. They've got to be able to get home tomorrow against Drake May, against a poor Patriots offensive line, and they've got to be able to keep what has been a bad rushing offense over the last 2 weeks bad. They've got to be able to keep that struggling. They can't let this be a game where Stevenson grinds them down like running backs have done to them previously this season. So Jets defensive line is your defensive X factor. As for the matchups to watch, to me, it's the Jets run game versus this Patriots rushing defense. Like I said, the Jets run game this season is 31st in the NFL. Patriots rushing defense is 22nd. Both are not good. Something's got to give. What will give tomorrow? Hopefully it's Breece Hall and Braylon Allen breaking out, but we will see. That's your offensive matchup to watch. And the defensive matchup to watch, we've talked about it. It's the Jets pass rush against Drake May. Also, I'll give you a player. You got to watch for Hassan Reddick. I mean, what does he look like in his debut? We'll see. We'll see what he looks like. Just some other notes. Here are the also just some basic offense and defensive rankings. Jets come into this game 23rd ranked total offense. Jets 31st ranked rushing offense, 11th passing offense, 24th scoring offense. When you look at the Patriots offensive rankings, they are 30th. Rushing, they are 2nd. Passing, they are 31st. Scoring, they are 30th. So bottom of the league in almost every category. When you look at the Jets defense, they are total 6th, rushing 16th, pass 2nd, scoring 11th. And when you look at the Patriots defense, they are 26th total defense, 22nd against the run, 24th against the pass, and 24th in scoring defense. So, look, as bad as the Jets have been, this is a game they should win. And they should win pretty convincingly. I'll take the Jets here 23-13. I haven't predicted the Jets to win in a while. And I say the Jets win with not a whole lot of like energy or excitement, because to me, beating the Patriots, call me negative, whatever you want. To me, beating the Patriots doesn't give me a whole lot. I will come on the recap show tomorrow. I would love to come on the recap show tomorrow and talk about a win and maybe get a little, and be able to look ahead to Houston and say, you know what, hey, you win the Houston game. I would love that. Like, this would be a great, like, delusion win. You win this game, you start talking, okay, you beat Houston, you get to 4-5, then you get Arizona with extra time to repair. Okay, you get the 5. Like, I would love to see fans start talking about that again. To me, I'm not going to fully jump on that boat. Look, you win this game, you're going to get optimistic and hope that they can carry it into Houston and hope that something maybe clicks. Like I said, I'd love to be wrong about this team. I would love for this team to win 10 straight games, finish 12-5. I'd love for this team to find a way to get into the playoffs and make a run. I just don't see it happening right now. So I'm going to say Jets 23-13. Jets, Jets. Find a way to win, get the job done. Give us a win. Give us a victory Monday. As even though it won't be as enjoyable as some of them, because the team has dug themselves in such of a deep hole that one win is not going to get me and many other Jets fans to believe in this team that they're going to go on a run. But look, the Patriots are the team in front of you. Go beat them. You beat New England, you get to 3-5. Next up, much tougher task in Houston. Like I said, to me, you've got to get to 5-5. You've got to get back to 500, and then we could start talking about playoffs and this team going on a run. But it starts tomorrow. You get a win tomorrow. Short week, Houston. Find a way. Find a way to be 4-5 by Halloween. And it starts tomorrow in Gillette Stadium against New England. Sweep them for the first time since 2000. And pick up a win in October. Let's not go winless in October. Pick up a win, get the job done, and stop the bleeding. That's what I will leave you with that. Jets 23-13. That's what we'll go with. We'll be back right after the game tomorrow, recapping all the action, what went right, what went wrong. And as always, stay tuned. Hopefully recapping a Jets W, because it's been way too long since we were recapping the Jets Thursday night win against the Patriots in September. It feels like that was last season. But here we are. So talk to you guys soon. Jets, Jets. Thanks for tuning in, and appreciate you all.